Welcome to Birdwatching 101, where we're going to be reviewing some quick tips and tricks to identifying birds in the area of Frick Park in western Pennsylvania. Except for pigeons. We don't trust pigeons. Let's get started. When bird watching, the first and most important thing is to remember to stay quiet. It's important to stay quiet because birds are really sensitive to sounds, as they're always getting hunted by predators. So any movement or any loud noise is going to scare them away. So always remember to stay silent in whatever environment you're in. The second most important thing is to remember the environment that you're currently watching in. Is it a forest? Is it a grassland? Is it a swamp? That's going to very much vary what species of birds you're going to see. So when we're looking at birds, we're going to look at color and size. We're going to first look at the size of the bird. Is it more of a sparrow size, smaller size? Is it closer to a crow size, so like a medium-sized bird? Or is it a larger bird, such as a hawk or an eagle? Once you identify the size, you're going to be able to narrow some stuff down, but the real way to narrow the bird down is to figure out what color it is or what pattern it has. All birds have unique patterns and colors that are easy to identify them by. So you could be looking at a pattern such as a black and white pattern, as this woodpecker right here, or you could be looking at more of the color on it, such as the bright red of a cardinal, seen right here. When identifying birds, it's also important to look at differences that might exist between two different species, such as this red-bellied woodpecker when compared to the downy woodpecker that we saw earlier. The downy woodpecker had the black and white striping, while this woodpecker has a red head. These are both woodpeckers. They are two different species, setting them apart by their different patterns and colors. To identify these minute details, you can use a bird feeder instead of looking in a forest to truly identify what the different types of birds are. When looking at this red-winged blackbird, it's a lot easier to see its red-tipped wing when compared to in a forest, because there isn't as much of a messy background behind it. You can use these little tips and tricks when you're beginning to really identify what type of bird you're looking at. Now back to the forest. If all else fails and you can't see the bird, you always can identify them by their call. Each call has its own unique pattern, and it is very important that you can recognize these patterns to recognize the bird. An example of these unique patterns is such as a chipping sparrow, as you can hear here. This call has a unique chip to it, which is why it's called the chipping sparrow. Another great way to identify birds by their calls is to use mnemonics, such as for the chickadee, as you can hear here. As you can hear in the call, it somewhat sounds like chick-a-dee, so you can use this mnemonic to remember that that is indeed the chickadee call. Another great way to identify birds is actually by using your phone. The Cornell Lab of Ornithology actually provides an app where you can use your phone's mic to record certain bird calls to identify what birds they are. It will also spit out what is called a spectrogram, which is a visual representation of the different frequencies and pitches of the bird call. You can easily use this to recognize different visual patterns in the call that you can use to further identify the bird. So, now that we went over color and song of birds, we can just remember one last thing, that is behavior. Are the birds surrounded by other birds of the same species? Are they around other birds of different species? Are they at a bird feeder? Are they in the trees? Are they on the ground? These are all important factors to remember when identifying birds that may help you identify the type of bird that you're looking at. With those few tips and tricks, now it's your turn. Have fun bird watching.